Right, so we're recording for Olga now.
Okay, so hi Olga, and here are KURBd questions. What inspired you to start KURBd in the first place? What inspired us to start KURBd in the first place?
Well, if I can just take the lead here, David. I think that KURBd was started in the flat of front room of my old flat.
Yeah.
We got together and said, we've never done a band together, have we?
This is very true.
That happened, and then we said we should probably arrange a rehearsal. About a year later, we actually said, let's rehearse. Let's get a bass player. Who do we know? Oh.
So we phoned up Lee and said, Lee, do you know any bass players?
He didn't know any.
None.
Know any.
So
Lee didn't know any bass players at all.
No,
So
we.
There's very few around Andover.
Andover's a town with about 50,000 people. 49,000 are unemployed chavs.
yeah.
Oh, can we say
This
that?
is very true.
Oh.
Well, you just have.
Well,
I guess so.
too much, obviously.
But yeah, so we wanted to do a sort of 90s kind of grungy rock type band that reflected our sort of influences and what got us into music in the first place.
What we definitely didn't want to do was be one of those bands that were obviously seen and obviously popular because it was easy.
Yeah.
We didn't want to have the hair metal fringe, look how much gear we can bring in and how tight our slats could be. We literally were vibing from, I think, about 1998, which is when baggy jeans were popular and long hair was still cool.
Which it still is.
Which Dave is still...
He's still got to have
quite
the hair.
a lot of that.
There it is.
Lee used to have hair and so did I.
Yeah.
Let's go back up.
So that's basically it. Stuff we liked, and there we go. That's that. Question. How does the band's name reflect the band's character?
Ooh. Interesting.
I think you just came up with it one day and thought it sounded quite nice.
We were looking for band names that were one syllable that didn't sound overly cliched band names. I think we originally... I liked the name Tides for a little while.
Yeah, you did, yeah.
I liked Tides, and then...
I think it was a Tides, that was what
Tides, yeah. And I remember in the beginning, Dave, I think I wanted to call it the Amber Conspiracy.
You did?
I like that quite a lot. And then I don't know where KURBd actually came from. I think that was at a rehearsal.
Yeah, you just said
It
it.
just came out with KURBd, as in to park your car badly, and it kind of stuck.
Yeah.
So, yes, that's how we come up with the name KURBd.
But it doesn't really reflect anything in any way.
No,
It's just
it doesn't
a name
have
that
to
we
mean
like.
anything. It's just a name that literally wasn't taken by anyone else.
And we thought we'd do the thing of spelling it. Yeah, it was a name that nobody else had.
If you go on Google, that was it. There was no other bands called KURBd.
No.
So.
There is an alloy wheels company called KURBd
Yeah,
in the States.
Spelled.
And I've also noticed if you type in KURBd into Google, it comes up with iTunes for a band which I think is called Durkins, and they've got a song called KURBd.
Oh, right, there you go.
There's no other bands.
Durkins.
Durkins.
Look out for Durkins. Great band that
I'll
we've
check that out
never heard of.
Get on
Your EP, our EP, The Cause, The Defect, is out. Same as Lee, oddly enough. How were the songs for this EP born? We really from just jamming and collections of riffs, and yeah, here's hi. How you doing?
That's Dave's missus.
Hi.
So yeah, really just out of rehearsals and gigs and jamming and collections of lyrics that are kind of half ideas or full ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think because me and Lee sing equally, and so does our esteemed colleague David, we had to pick 3 songs that showed off what we could all do. So we've got Beware the Silence, which may have been... I don't know if it was the first song you wrote, but Wreck, track 2, is definitely the first song I wrote in the band. I wrote that actually in the front room when me and Dave were watching District 9.
I love that film.
Yeah,
So,
great film.
Good film.
Yeah, we did love that.
So that's where that one came from. Yeah, and then Kerosene is our sort of up-tempo, more punky song, and shows off our harmony. So that's why those three, Beware the Silence, Wreck, and Kerosene got on the EP.
We recorded.
We did record stuff.
The Cause the Defect fully live without using fancy Pro Tools. How did you enjoy the experience? I think the experience was heightened because of AK, who recorded it for us, and the fact that we were all able to be in the same room and kind of work off each other like we do live. And
it was different to other recording processes. When you record in like separate booths or at separate times, you kind of play to a click track and it's very animated. Whereas we played in one room with Dave, me and Lee either side of him, like you would live on stage.
Yeah, it was more just having a rehearsal, wasn't it?
Yeah, it just flowed a lot better. There's a lot more vibe there. There's little sounds that aren't perfect on the EP where I literally just grab the guitar neck and you hear it squeal and feedback. That's not additional rubbish. That's literally as it was played.
Rubbish.
Just rubbish, man. Yeah. Not additional rubbish. Actual rubbish.
Yeah, that's not fake rubbish.
So
that's the
that,
way to do
it was just a good way of doing it. A lot of bands I think should do it live, or at least try and do it live in one room. You just get a lot better vibe out of it. We recorded 3 tracks in a day.
Yeah.
And then day 2 was spent doing vocals.
Yeah.
And then literally the bit of polishing up the sound to make it brighter and louder in certain places. But apart from that, the whole process was really simple. 2 days in wallop.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, it was great.
Really good. It was great where we recorded it as well.
Relaxed, wasn't it?
Yeah, the only separation between the amplifiers was mattresses, which is great. That's how it should be. Plain and simple. Plain and simple recording. But AK, our producer engineer, was awesome.
Made it doable.
Made it doable. It just goes to prove you don't need like £1,000 studio and 50,000 guitar tracks to make something sound all right.
Following on, there's a tendency that some bands are returning to recording their music live and are not using Pro Tools, etc. Why do you think this is happening? I think it's just better. It's more of a live feeling.
More real, yeah.
I think as well because a lot of bands do Pro Tools and Logic the crap out of their albums, and then people go to see them live and realise, do you know what, you're actually pretty shit.
Yeah.
They just can't pull it off. I mean,
yeah.
Do you remember like I think it was the early 2000s, Lost Prophets put on their album cover, no Pro Tools was used in the making of this, and it actually turns out there was a lot of Pro Tools in the making of that.
Yeah, there's no point making something sound huge, massive, over polished if you don't.
If you can't put it off live, there's no point doing it.
Yeah.
If you've got 5 guitar tracks on an album, but there's only one guitarist, it's obvious that something's going wrong. So yeah, I think it's good that people are going back to the basics, just keeping it easy.
Yeah.
You don't have to be over the top, and there don't got to be loads of sound effects and loads of ear candy. It's just got to be how you play live, recorded. Obviously, there's going to be a bit of polishing, and obviously it's going to be a little bit bigger in certain areas because you're all mic'd up. But apart from that, it should be the same as you play live.
Plus, it's a lot cheaper, which is good for us.
Yeah, we did like the
cheaper as well. Yeah, yeah. Definitely.
We spent a lot on beer and sweets, if I remember, but very cheap on the actual recording process.
Yeah.
But the range of pasties from the garage opposite was excellent.
I had a pepper steak slice at one point.
Yeah.
I think you did. I think I favour the ham and cheese.
I was on the spicy chicken.
No.
Were you? You like
See,
the spicy
they're
chicken?
both too obvious for me.
All right, interesting.
A bit last season.
I see where you're coming from. But ultimately, there needs to be variety, doesn't there? Otherwise, we'd all be eating the same pasties.
And I don't want to eat the same pasties as everyone else.
And perhaps KURBd would have been a very different monster if
we all had the same pasties.
If we were all eating the
so
same
you're saying that the
pasties.
metaphor for our pastry goods was that we liked different pastries, thus the EP sounded like we liked different things.
Yeah.
I think now that you've said it like that, yes.
Good.
I would have liked pepperami in a roll. I wish they'd bring them back.
Do you know, I've never tried that.
No, I don't. I'm not a massive fan of pepperami, to be fair.
No, they were good. They were good.
I don't mind a pepperami. I think to be honest, if you're after that sort of garlicky sausage sort of snack, you're often better off just buying a garlic sausage.
Why would you? There's never an opportunity where you go, do you know what, I really fancy a garlic sausage. Never.
Yeah, but
You
then,
never.
Smoked sausage, don't
but
you?
if you
They're a lot
buy
like you,
Pepper
though.
Army, that's basically what you're saying, isn't it?
I don't like pepperoni.
Not even a fire stick or
No.
a whiteboard.
I could not think of anything worse than a pepperoni.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I always had
Yeah,
you down as a bit
greasy,
of a...
To be honest,
greasy, thin meat.
If I'd have known that
Yeah,
a year ago, this EP may not have ever happened.
No.
What, that was it like pepperonis?
Well, yeah, I mean, you kept quiet about that.
Well, some things will be kept secretly. I need some allure. You can't know everything about me all the time. As you're sandwiched between myself and David.
Just most.
Just almost everything.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Next question.
Yeah.
Next
Yeah, go on
question.
then.
What's been your most memorable event as KURBd so far?
I would say this.
I would say
This.
this is up there.
This
I'm going to look back
definitely
on
there,
this.
yeah.
Our first gig was in September 2012.
Yeah.
And we're now in November 2013. So we've only been going not much over a year, really. So
I really liked our last show, personally. That was my favourite gig so far.
our last gig was at the Joiners in Southampton supporting Sondura with Motherload and These Days Arcane. We were on first.
It was
And
great.
that was the first time
Yeah.
I've played the Joiners for about 8 years.
Yeah, me too.
We only played there once together in our last band, didn't we?
Yeah, I think probably, yeah, I would agree with that. I'd also say, I think our acoustic set
Yeah,
and
Yeah,
Crispy Stock
Crispy
was
Stock.
also great as
Yeah,
well. So.
a festival for Headway Charity, which took place in September of this year. We played a lo-fi acoustic set for the first time, so we broke everything down. That was absolutely phenomenal. I think that was probably
it came out better than we thought, didn't it?
yeah, that was a
All we
real
expected
highlight.
Anyway.
Real, so we broke it all down. It was brilliant.
What's the trait of your music that makes it especially appealing for listeners?
I think the fact that it's not over the top. There's nothing that kind of pads it out and makes it more than it is. You know that when
Yeah.
you sit, there's three of us on stage, a guitar, a bass,
It's
a
quite
drummer.
honest. It's quite honest. I think.
Honest, we do
It's
3-part
not really-
vocal harmonies when we can.
Yeah.
Lee and I both share the vocals. Me, Lee, and Dave all do harmonies on each other's parts. It just adds to something that not many other bands out there are doing at the moment. There's not many bands of, shall I say, our maturity,
Our vintage.
our vintage. We are a
Perhaps.
vintage band. We're all dads, and maybe the fact that we've been playing in bands for so long, at different scales and different levels, means that we have more of an insight into how we want to be on stage. We don't really have to prove ourselves to
we
anyone
didn't really
because
put anything on it to start with. We were just kind of
No.
said, no, we're going to play what we like playing, and if people like it, then
yeah,
like it.
we like playing sort of. We're not heavy rock, but we're not indie. We just play what we want to play, which at the moment tends to get tagged as that sort of alternative,
I think
almost a grungy
the
vibe, but it's
90s
not
things
deliberate.
Come round again, and we've just not stopped doing it from the first
Yeah.
time.
It's nice to know that what we're doing. We've had some really good reviews and some good sort of publicity out of the fact that all we've done is we've wrote 6-7 songs that we play live. We've busted them out as good as we can. We've recorded an EP the best we can. We don't have a fancy website. We don't have any fancy promo shots. We don't have anything really. We've got a blog, insidekurbmusic.blogspot.co.uk, and a Twitter @KURBmusic, and that's as far as we go.
Yeah. What's your biggest, and this is the last question
Is it?
from Olga. What's your biggest ambition in music? Yeah.
I just want to keep playing.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Just keep churning out the good stuff,
I think
and hope people like it. Really.
Yeah.
for me, a personal highlight would be if I could ever manage to get our EP or an album released on vinyl. Would be
Yeah.
the highlight of my life. I think even if that happened from our own financing or if anyone fancy paying for it, to have something on vinyl would be absolutely amazing. I know it's not really a common popular thing, or it actually is making a lot of popularity. It's making a bit of a comeback in it. So I think for me, to have our stuff on vinyl would be amazing, and also maybe to release it through a small independent label that's proper old school and honest and no big money and pretense around it.
It's just nice getting any sort of positive feedback, isn't it? And
Yeah.
It seems to be quite a lot recently.
Yeah.
We've had a good run of a couple of months where people have actually took notice of us, and we recorded the EP in January this year, January 2013. So we're now November 2013, and we've had 4 or 5 great reviews, played some awesome shows, and obviously met with you, Olga, via email. So